Cali gets interplanetary. Planet California is sending something pretty cool to the red planet next month. In a first for the US West Coast, NASA will launch their InSight mission to Mars from the Vandenberg Air Force in California on May 5. The higher it gets, the more visible it'll be. NASA reckons 10 million Californians will be able to see it. Protected by an aeroshell, the lander will travel for around 6 months before reaching Mars. Once close to the atmosphere, it'll begin a 6-minute descent around 80 miles from the surface. As it descends, the spacecraft will get rid of its heat shielding and deploy a parachute. Once there, the InSight lander will remain stationary. NASA will use it to probe the Martian surface and analyze soil samples from deep inside the planet. More on Mars.
Even in space, you have to eat your greens. NASA hopes its astronauts will be able to keep up their veggie intake on future missions to the Moon or Mars, thanks to a greenhouse project it's working on with the University of Arizona. The prototype Lunar Greenhouse is cylindrical, measuring 18 feet in length and more than 8 feet in diameter. The garden uses a hydroponic system, in which water enriched with nutrient salts flows continuously through the roots of the plants. Carbon dioxide exhaled by astronauts can be absorbed by the plants. In return, the plants produce oxygen for the astronauts through photosynthesis. The exchange forms a bioregenerative life support system. NASA's Veggie Plant Growth System was the first fresh food growth experiment on the International Space Station. The space agency hopes to provide a more sustainable approach to long-term exploration on the Moon, Mars, and beyond.
Mars has a twisted magnetotail. NASA says Mars has a twisted, its magnetotail, that is. New research using data gathered from NASA's MAVEN mission to Mars suggests the planet's atmosphere may be getting thinned via solar wind. Mars, like most planets, has a magnetotail, which is the side of a planet not facing the sun. NASA now suspects that Mars is different, in that its magnetotail is twisted by solar winds from the sun. The space agency suspects this may have contributed to the thinning of the red planet's atmosphere. Can you imagine if the magnetotail was a tail that was the Magneto? Just one giant, wagging, purple-helmeted mutant waving back and forth in space. There's ice on Mars. Sheets of ice exist close to the Martian surface. New research published in the journal Science looked at data from spacecraft on 8 locations on Mars and found large swaths of ice. The sheets are said to be located near the surface as well as close to depths of 100 meters. Researchers also found cliffs made up of water ice. According to Science, the ice sheets could be useful for future missions to Mars. In other words, water might just be within our reach on Mars. How cool is that?
Life on Mars? Mars may not have been an arid wasteland after all, at least according to a new study that suggests the red planet may have been far more habitable than previously thought. Martian meteorites contain a specific mineral that has long led scientists to believe the planet had an ancient, dry environment. The mineral, called marlite, contains no water or hydrogen, which led to the assumption that its origins were likewise devoid of liquid. But new research now suggests that marlite was originally a hydrogen-containing mineral, and that Mars may have had a more water-rich history. When an asteroid or comet collides with the planet, the force of the collision propels Martian rocks containing Whitlockite out into space. Researchers theorized when these rocks enter Earth's atmosphere as meteors, the shock, pressure, and high temperature sustained during impact dehydrate the mineral, turning it into marlite. They tested the theory by blasting synthetic Whitlockite with a gas-powered gun at speeds of more than 1,600 miles per hour and with huge amounts of pressure. The shock experiments were sustained for only a fraction of a second, but already resulted in partial conversion, with 36% of the mineral transformed to marlite. The findings suggest Mars could have had a more abundant water supply. It also hints at the possibility of life on the red planet, as Whitlockite is water-soluble and contains phosphorus, which is an essential element for life. More detailed studies of Martian meteorites may provide more insight, but a Martian rock taken and transported to Earth will likely be needed for confirmation. For now, scientists need to make do with thermal imaging and rock sample analysis from the rovers.